Funding for this series has been provided in part by the following.
Sundragon supports the art of music. Welcome to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Met has been preserving art from the earliest civilizations to the contemporary, from Egyptian sculpture to the art of music. Today, music legends Peter Frampton and Warren Haynes explored the halls of the Met with a hands-on introduction to some of its musical instrument collection's newest additions.
Wonderful.
From Seth Lover's 1955 Gibson Goldtop to the guitar Keith Richards played on the Rolling Stones' first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. But now, join Peter Frampton and Warren Haynes on stage as they explore and share their musical journeys and the stories of the tools that help them create the art of music.
Hello, I'm Warren Haynes. Welcome to the Art of Music. And we are here tonight for my good friend, Peter Frampton.
Thank you, Warren.
Well, we've known each other a long time, and I'm honored to be here for this, but let's dive right in. Tell me a little bit about your first musical encounter, what drew you to music in general, and do you have a first musical memory?
The first time I ever saw anybody on TV playing an electric guitar, I think, was Eddie Cochran. As far as me wanting to play guitar, that started it. And then our English band, who were the backup band for Cliff Richard, the Shadows, became a huge part of everyone's life in England. Seeing them play many times on TV and listening to all the records, that was really what really got me going. And also the fact that when we got our first record player, my dad bought me the Shadows album for Christmas, but he also bought Mum and Dad Django Reinhardt and the Hot Club de France with Stéphane Grappelli. And so when I left the room and I'd finished playing the Shadows, they would put on Django Reinhardt, and I couldn't get up the stairs quick enough. It was just awful stuff. It was jazz, and what's more, it was on an acoustic. He didn't play an electric, this guy. So anyway, needless to say, after many Saturdays, I stayed in the room for him playing the Django Reinhardt, and I've been playing Django at least one track every day for the rest of my life. And it's always good to, I find, have a mentor, a player mentor that is so much better than you. You'll never be that good, but you'll pick up things from him, and he was such a great, Django is still a teacher. I still copy little licks of his. And anyway.
Well, you know, I heard B.B. King talking one time, and he said every great musician has at least one influence that you wouldn't expect. And the interviewer said, who would that be for you? And B.B. King said, Django Reinhardt.
Wow.
So who would that be for you, other than Django Reinhardt, someone we don't expect that you were influenced by?
I mean, it was listening to, going to see John Mayall's Blues Breakers at the Flamingo Club in Wardour Street when I was too young to get in, but I did. And I saw Eric playing, and I didn't realize what I was seeing at the time. It blew me away. And then I realized I've got to listen to who he's listening to. So that's when I found out about all the Kings, B.B., Freddie, and Albert. And each one of them are just such great influences and such great technique. And they're all different. They're all so different. And have always been an inspiration to me.
My first teacher told me, if you only listen to the Three Kings, you have a lifetime of homework to do. And he meant B.B. King, Freddie King, and Albert King.
Yeah, no, it's
incredible. I understand you went to school with David Bowie.
You heard about that, did you?
Yeah. I did hear about that. Not from him, although I met him and he was a super nice guy. But was it that way when you guys were in school together?
Yeah, it was the three of us. It was David, who we called Dave, obviously Dave Jones, and George Underwood and myself were like the three musketeers, basically. My father was the head of the art department in the school. So my dad said, well, you guys seem to be, into this music lark. He said, why don't you bring your guitars to school and I'll stick them in my office. And then at lunchtime, you can get the guitars out and I don't think he said you can jam. I don't think that's what he said. You can play those things you play, And so anyway, we did that.
And you guys rekindled that friendship later on in your career, right? What was that like?
He was someone that was always there for me, looked after me. And then one day he called me up and asked me, in '86 it was. And he called me up. He'd seen what had happened. My career had kind of done this with the live album, and then it had kind of done this, and I was floundering and not being known as a guitar player anymore, which was very frustrating. And so David called me up. He knew what was going on. He knew me as the guitar player. And so he asked me, would I play on his record, next record? So I said, let me think about that. Yes. And so I went to Switzerland, where he was living at the time, and we recorded there. And then while we were there, he asked me, would you be willing to come on tour with me and play guitar for me? And I said, let me think about that. Yes. And so I did. And I had absolutely no idea. I was just thinking, finally, we get to play on the same stage, the same night. We'd played together the same night, but never on the same stage. But he was thinking, I'm going to reintroduce Peter as the guitar player, which, oh my God, did he ever. And I thank him every day, and I will keep thanking him, because it was the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. That's great. Well, speaking of the gift that keeps on giving, shall we play something?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Shadows grow so long before my eyes, and they're moving across the page. Suddenly the day turns into night, far away from the city. But don't hesitate, your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love your way every of some firefly. Wonder how they have the power to shine, shine, shine. I can see them, yeah, under the pine. But don't hesitate. Yeah, your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love your way every day. Wanna tell you I love your way every way. Wanna be with you night and day. Oh yeah. Don't hesitate. Yeah, your love won't wait. I can see the sunset in your eyes, brown and gray. Yeah, blue beside. Clouds are stalking islands in the sun. Wish I could buy one out of season. But don't hesitate. Yeah, your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love the way every day. Wanna tell you I love the way every way. Wanna be with you night and day. Ooh, baby, I love your way. Wanna tell you I love your way. Ooh, I wanna be with you night and day. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So talk a little bit about The Herd and teaming up with those guys. You're like 15, 16? What?
Yeah, I was 16 when I first joined the band. And at the end of the summer, when I was going back to school, they came up to me and said, we're going to switch the band around. We want you to be the lead guitarist, and this one's going to, whatever, and join the band. Would you, professionally? I said, my dad's a teacher. I don't think dropping out of school is going to go down too well. So I went home and asked my mom and dad if I could leave school. And I said, the Herd want me to join like permanently and turn professional. And there was steam coming out of my dad's ears. And my mother was just kind of looking at me, and she gave me the wink and she said, leave it with me. So Mum convinced him, once she doused his fire out, and convinced him that this is what he's going to do. You're going to stop him now? We stopped him before because they kept me out of a band before when I was 12. That was a little early to go professional. So I agreed with that one. But she said, it's only going to happen again. So why don't we let him go do his thing? So I joined the Herd, and then within a year and a half, if that, we were on Top of the Pops with 3 big hit singles. So it happened pretty quickly for the Herd.
It was almost like teen idol status, right? I mean, like, which we knew in America with Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy and people like that later on. But from what I remember hearing, it propelled you to that kind of...
Yeah.
And that had to be a lot to deal with.
Well, it wasn't. It was great to start with because I had all these girls screaming at me and ripping my clothes off. And that's the good part. Very soon I realized that they were screaming. They couldn't hear what we were playing. So that's when I decided to leave the band and leave the Herd. And I was starting to find my own band. And then Steve decided one day he was going to leave the Small Faces because he wanted me to join the Small Faces. So we did a session in France, and I played with the Small Faces, and it was a dream come true. And so when we came home, he decided if they're not going to let Pete join the Small Faces, then he's going to leave, and we formed Humble Pie, and that was the next band.
So, well, I was a huge Humble Pie fan. Rockin' the Fillmore was a really big record, a big influence on me. Listened to it so many times when I was a kid, and it was exciting because you felt like you were there. You felt like you were in the audience, and I just loved that. And you and Steve reconnected not too long before he passed, right? And we talked a little bit about this one time. You guys actually did some playing together, and we're going to tour, right?
We were, yes. We were going to do one album and one tour, and but unfortunately, we lost him before that was to happen. But there's one time that we were in this makeshift studio I had in Los Angeles, and so I had a reel-to-reel. I wasn't digital yet. And
thank God.
Yeah, I'd written this song called "I Won't Let You Down." That's right. I always confuse it. And we were singing in harmony, and we triple tracked it. And in between each line of, if you solo the the vocal track, you can hear us laughing because it sounded so good. The two of us singing together. He was the one, but I was a good foil for him underneath.
Well, was it a hard decision leaving Humble Pie when you first went on your own?
No. No, I've made some brutal choices along the way. Some have been good and some have been bad. But I'm pretty much make my mind up. I'm pretty impulsive. When I know something isn't right, then, I don't tolerate it very long. Whether it was going to work or not, I wanted to go back on my own, start at the bottom of the ladder again and write my own songs and be a solo artist. And I had no idea whether it would work or not.
I remember when Frampton Comes Alive was the biggest record in America. I bought a copy.
Thank you.
Tell me if this is right. 1976, it was the biggest selling record in America. But in 1977, it was still the 14th biggest selling record in America. That's amazing. And so, now we're back to that question of what happens when you do this. Your career just went skyrocketing.
What goes up? First of all, it had taken me 6 years to write all that material. And culled from Humble Pie, from all my solo records up to that point, and a cover. There was a Jumpin' Jack Flash we did on there too. So, it was a very difficult period for me, especially when they told me that I was not only #1 in the charts, but that I'd sold more than Carole King's Tapestry, which was the top-selling record of ever, at that point. And she still won't speak to me. No. Because she's overtaken me now with Tapestry. So, but anyway, when they told me it was the biggest record ever, I got scared. And because you know that you've got to follow it up. You're only as good as your last record. And I should never have made any other records. I should have just, that's it. And, but there's nothing better than having the biggest record in the world, I guess.
So did you feel like you had to rethink everything from that point? Like take some time and figure out what's going to be next?
After the I'm a New record came out, which I didn't want to make, let alone release, I realized that it was time to take stock, and a lot of things happened there. Money was going astray by the hundreds of thousands, and so I needed to sort all that out. And that's when I sort of stopped working and basically just started writing on my own and getting ready for something that was to come, I've always been knocked down, and then you take a second or two, and if you don't go to 10, you're okay. You get up on 9, and then you start again. And it's never too late to start again.
Ice in her eyes, frozen tears would never be a surprise. You can't erase a dream. You can only wake me up. My mind is turning slower, never to accept defeat. Well, it don't matter. It don't matter. Still got a house I gotta heat. So where you came from, call out your name. There's no answer. We lived on your doorstep. I made you my wife. I don't need that. I don't need that.
So earlier when we were talking, I know you had a chance to see Jimi Hendrix play. Did you guys tour together at all? You never were on the same stage?
The Herd, our managers thought it would be a good idea for us to open for Jimi Hendrix one night. It was kind of like Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees.
In reverse.
In reverse, yeah. They booed him off there, and they booed us off there. They just wanted Jimi Hendrix. I don't blame them. So did we. But no, I met him once. A friend of mine, it's like my uncle or my older brother, is Bill Wyman, for the original bass player in the Stones, and we've known him for years and years and years. And he would take me up to the clubs when I was too young. And one night, that's when we see this guy being pulled up onto the stage, and he goes over to the lead guitar player, and he said, "Give me your guitar." Okay. It was a right-handed guitar. He picked it up. He put it left-handed, didn't change the strings, and played it amazingly well. That's when Jeff Beck said, "Yeah, what did you think of Jimi Hendrix?" Well, it was me, Paigey, and Eric, and we went to see Jimmy, and when he finished playing, we just all looked at each other and said, "Well, what are you going to do for the rest of your life?"
How did the Talkbox thing? Was it Pete Drake?
Yes.
That introduced you to the?
It was, yeah. we were recording George Harrison's All Things Must Pass record at Abbey Road in London, where the Beatles made all
Yeah,
their
just
records.
that little old thing.
The third or fourth day, George said, I've got someone coming over from Nashville to play pedal steel, Pete Drake. He played on Nashville Skyline with Bob. And so I said, oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait to meet him. And so I'm here with my acoustic, and George is there, as was sitting together. And then facing me is Pete Drake, the pedal steel player from the A-Team, one of the top pedal steel players. And in a slow moment, Pete Drake said to me, you want to hear something? I've got something special you want to hear. And I said, oh, yeah. I thought he was just going to play me a tune. So he gets his little bag out and gets this box, puts it on his pedal steel, gets a pipe like this and plugs things in here and there. And then he puts the pipe in his mouth and the pedal steel starts singing to me. And that was it. I mean, my jaw dropped and I said, where did you get that? I've got to have one, And he said, I made this one myself. I said, oh. So I said, do you know where I can get one? He said, no, I don't really. I said, you mean you don't want me to have one? Is that what you're saying? No, you don't. No, but so anyway, I went back to, that was 1970, 71. Bob Heil of Heil Sound, Heil Microphones. He was our PA company back in the day. And he had started making them because Joe Walsh had borrowed that one from Pete Drake to do Rocky Mountain Way. And he said to Bob Heil in Joe Walsh's inimitable way, he said, hey, Bob, it's not loud enough. So Bob Heil said, I'll make you a loud one. Okay, so he made this one that could handle 50 watts or 100 watts. And so he gave, Bob Heil gave me one for Christmas. I think it was like 1973. And that's when I used it on the studio version of Show Me the Way first. That was the very first track I used it on.
Let's skip ahead to winning the Grammy. How did that feel for you? Because, a lot of artists grow up like not putting as much stock in the Grammys because in the past, I guess we grew up thinking all the wrong people won. And the Beatles never won. Led Zeppelin never won.
Right.
But then if you finally get to that opportunity, it's like, oh, well, it's nice to be acknowledged for all the hard work you put into something. So congratulations to you. And what was your feeling about that when it happened?
Of course, I'd been building back up on the road, but nothing record-wise was doing anything. And so he said, so, Peter, what would you like to do? What are you going to give us for the first record back with A&M? And I said, an instrumental album. And he went, oh, I get it. You're a guitar player. That's right. He got it. No, they understood. And I said, and I'm not backing down on that. I don't want to sing a note. I want to play guitar for the whole album. And it was kind of like, every track was like making an album because I had to travel. I had to get all the musicians together, I came to New York to do the track with Warren. And then he had me sit in with the Allman Brothers the next night, and which was a dream come true as well. So,
and for me.
No, it was wonderful. And so with the Shadows, I had to go to England, and for Bill Wyman and Charlie Watts, I reunited them for the first time since Bill left the Stones. And then Pearl Jam, I had to go to Seattle, so it was a fantastic journey, that album. And it was for me. as most artists, you don't do anything thinking about what other people are going to think about it. You do it for yourself. And then I got 2 Grammy nominations in the mail, and I seriously thought they had the wrong address. And so I opened one, and it was for Black Hole Sun. It was for the one track. And then I opened the other one, and it was for the entire album. And so I went to the Grammys thinking, well, it's okay. I know I'm not going to win, but it's okay. It's just fantastic to be nominated twice for the same album. So anyway, when they read my name out, I went into that kind of sort of dream state. And I remember my wife at the time screamed. I think she was screaming, saying, "Oh, thank God, I'm going to have a good night." I couldn't believe I got it for the whole record. So for the album,
which is a fantastic record. So I hate it when people ask me this question, so I'm going to ask you this question. And you don't have to answer it. Is there a favorite gig you've ever done?
Oh, gosh. Yes, I think there is. And it was with Humble Pie. The ones that stand out was the first time we played Madison Square Garden. And we were opening for Grand Funk. We were doing a whole tour, Europe, America, with Grand Funk. And so they let us have a sound check at Madison Square Garden, which was fantastic. So my guitar amp was on, and Jerry Shirley's drums were up. Jerry was there, I was there. And I just played an E chord, like in Madison Square Garden with no PA on, just my Marshall going out. And it just took about 30 seconds to come back to me. It was fantastic. So then I went. I did that. And then Steve was at the mixing console out front, and Steve ran up onto the stage. I'll never forget this. And he just said, hold on the E. And he just, so I don't need no doctor. And he started singing that, and I went, oh gosh. And we rehearsed it, and we closed the evening with that song that night.
That's fantastic. So that's where the song was born.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden stage.
That's incredible. What about your worst gig?
One of the scariest gigs was, whether it was the worst one or not, we were playing in Austin, Texas, outdoors, and they expected 15,000 people. Well, this was 1976. So 150,000 people turned up, And then at a certain point, someone started throwing, they had a bag of snakes, and they threw up on the stage. And so I'm, trying to sing like this. And then all hell broke loose, and the crowd started moving forwards, and there was very little crash barrier, or no security. And all of a sudden I realized they're under the stage, and all we heard was this ripping of wood. And then our manager, tour manager said, off. And basically, I think the stage fell over in the end. They're going to cut this bit out, but there's a helicopter that and our wives and girlfriends are there, but it would only fit the band, so we had to leave the girls back. We landed in a Kroger parking lot, and with towels and wet clothes and everything. And then this guy in a pickup truck is with the windows open playing the album. He's pulling along, and we're going like this. And he said, my God, it's Peter Frampton. I can't believe it. There's urine in the speaker. So I said, yes, thank you. So that's when we finally recognized. He said, can you take us to the Hilton? Oh, no, it was the Holiday Inn, probably. Anyway, that was the end of the worst gig day.
Music has this special place in our lives that there have been times when without it, you wonder what you would do. Mm-hmm. And is it still that same way?
I love what I do more. Obviously, I have this muscle disease, which is crimping my style a little bit, but I'm going to go on playing as long as I can because I might miss a note here or there these days, but my heart is totally into what I do and always has been. And yeah, it's something that I think that passion is what drives you. And if you're lucky enough to have a passion for something, no matter what it is, it's the best thing in the world.
Well, I got one more question. Okay. I know you're tired of telling the story about reuniting with the Phoenix guitar. And this guitar right here, I would love it if you would just share that with everybody.
Yeah, it's one of the most incredible stories, and it happened to me, you know. So we had a cargo plane crash in Caracas, Venezuela in 1980. So I had the guitar from 1970 to 1980. And everything that I played on every session, all my own stuff, was all this guitar. This was like a glove, you know, hand in glove. And it's so incredibly, almost telepathically made for me. So it was 2008, something like that. And I got an email. And in the email were a dozen forensically taken shots of this guitar. And I screamed. I couldn't believe that. They said, these pictures were taken a few days ago. And I said, that's my guitar. They said, we know. And so he wanted a little money, but it was nowhere near what I thought it would be. So he was fair. And 32 years later, I'm in the hotel in Nashville, and this guy comes out from Curacao and walked into the room with this horrible plastic cover. And as he gave it to me, I just went, I knew it was mine, but it's one of the lightest Les Pauls I've ever played. And I said, oh my goodness, this is mine. This is my guitar. And that was it. And the first night I used it was the Beacon here in New York. And at the end of the act, right before Do You Feel, my tech, everything went dark. My tech put it on a stand, and all the spotlights just went on the guitar, and everybody stood up and went berserk because they knew what it meant for me to get this back, you know. And so I didn't play it throughout the whole act, but for Do You Feel, I picked it up. And in the intro, I made a mistake. Should I, without further ado?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great to do.
been. Come on, let's do it again. Do you feel like I do? Do you feel like I do? Well, my friend got busted just the other day. They said, don't broke away. Drove into a taxi, bent the boot, hit the bag. Had to play some music, otherwise he'd crack. Do you feel like I do? Do you feel like I do? Champagne for breakfast and a Sherman in my hand. I got black top, black gray tails. Never fails. Must have been a dream. I don't believe where I've been. Come on. Do you feel like I do? How'd you feel? Do you feel like I
love but you. Oh yeah. Can you hear me? Like you. Do you feel like we do? Oh yeah, I do. I feel like you do now. I wanna thank you. Oh yeah.
I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Warren. Alison and Rob. and they're moving across the page. Suddenly the day turns into night, far away from the city. But don't hesitate, your love won't wait. Ooh.
Funding for this series has been provided in part by the following.
Sundragon supports the art of music.